Almost 5 billion videos are watched on YouTube every day, compared to 0 just 16 years ago. You have a crazy amount of choices of videos to watch. That's awesome, right? Well, perhaps not, according to the paradox of choice by Barry Schwartz. Having so many choices has made us unhappy. Today we have a badass special guest, Noah Kagan, who will be sharing the 3 major lessons from the book and 5 key action items that you can implement today. Noah was Facebook employee number 30, number 4 at Mint.com, founded the 8-figure company AppSumo, and he's been interviewed on Tim Ferriss's podcast.
The more options you have, the harder it gets to decide. So a few months ago, I wanted to buy an outdoor speaker. No big deal. My friend recommended a portable JBL one I can use outside while playing Frisbee. So I went to Amazon,
So take us
typed in the
away,
product.
Noah.
I got there, only $12.99. But there were 5 color choices. Holy crap! Do I want a green? Well, that may not match my bike. So should I get a red? I don't know if this sounds familiar, but I ended up not even buying the speaker for a few days just because of a few color choices. We all want freedom, but what we don't realize is that too much freedom may not actually be optimal. Why? Having so many choices makes it extremely hard to choose at all. And then, by the way, having so many choices makes it extremely likely you'll feel like you made a mistake. What's the solution? You gotta realize that almost every choice is fine. And limiting the amount of choices, not increasing them, and moving forward with the decision will actually set you free. Just go with the first choice, or just always pick the same color of speaker. Maximizers versus satisfiers versus perfectionists. So a few months ago, I was in Malibu, California with my good buddy Neville, and we went to an ice cream store. And so I don't know about you, but when I go in the ice cream store, I get so excited to taste all the flavors and figure out what is the optimal flavor for me to choose. My good buddy Neville, on the other hand, looked at the board, saw one flavor, nuts, the first one on the list, and he just picked it. He was happy. I said, Neville, what'd you do? He's like, well, I just looked at the board, saw the first one, and chose that. Me, on the other hand, I tried all the different flavors. I ended up choosing pistachio. That is my favorite flavor. But it was a really interesting experience to think about how often we're trying to figure out the perfect item versus just picking any of them, and frankly, it would have been okay. So a maximizer are those people who, when given a choice, exhaustively search all options in order to make the best possible choice. And they experience deep, deep regret when they do not make the perfect choice. Now compare that to a satisfier. Those are people who, when given a choice, generally settle, which is good enough. And they often make decisions off the cuff and don't spend too much time reflecting on the choices after they're making it. They move on. Think about for yourself, where is something in your life where you made a decision really quickly and it was fine? And compare that to something where you spent a lot of time thinking about it, finally making it, and you kind of dreaded the decision. I've had that recently with bike shorts. I've bought 4 different bike shorts and I'm always like, well, is this enough? And that's enough. And frankly, I could have just stopped with the first one and been satisfied. And my suggestion for me and everyone out there is try to think next time about being a satisfier more than a maximizer in your next decisions. As well as a perfectionist is never happy because they're trying to be perfect, which is not possible. I am always satisfied with good enough. So I talked to Barry Schwartz, the author of Paradox of Choice, many years ago, and he commented how he married the first girl he dated from 8th grade. And then he went on to say he still eats at almost the same restaurant most of the time, and he still works at pretty much the same job he's had for a long time as well. Now, most of us are asking, is our significant other the best, or is there another one out there that's better? Is our job the most fulfilling, or should I be doing something else? And we always are striving for this idea of perfection and looking for the best. But the thing that Barry talks about, and the reason I love this book, is that he's just found something that works for him, and he's not always trying to get the best. It actually works just trying to get something that's at least 51%. So the key thing that he's encouraging for you and me in all of our decisions is that we're going to be fine no matter what we choose, and accepting good enough will lead to much, much higher levels of fulfillment and less distraction and dissatisfaction of just always wanting more. So 5 key action items from this book that you can do for yourself today, and I highly recommend you try all of them. Number 1, set artificial limits. The only way to get rid of the terror of choice is to artificially limit it. So next time, give yourself a timeline when you're picking something. Maybe it's a budget, or maybe you can only look at half of the one page of a menu. Try this the next time you have a decision and see how it works out for you. 2, make your decisions irreversible. So studies show that people who know they cannot reverse the decisions are happier with them. I know this is so common for me is that, 1, no decision is life-threatening, so whatever you choose is going to be fine. And if you know that you're just going to have to choose and be happy with this shirt or with this person or whatever it is, turns out it'll probably be okay. 3, Make the same decisions. I love this one. If you go to a restaurant, it is easier to continue choosing the same dish you like and you know is great versus always hoping and wanting something better. Have you ever eaten with a bunch of friends and you ask them, what did you order? Or you look at every single page on the menu? It's kind of almost tiring at the end. And how do you know you've gotten the right one? You see that they brought out fish and you got spaghetti. Oy vey. Guess what? Your mind will thank you at the end. Find the thing that you already like and just keep going with it. Next, be a satisfier, not a maximizer or a perfectionist. When you go shopping, figure out what you need and pick out the first thing that is good enough. One way for me is picking one reason you are making a decision. So I was buying nice over-ear headphones. You know those big ones you see people wear in the airplanes? And I bought 4 of the top pairs. I bought Bose and JBL and all these other companies. And frankly, they all sounded the same. Then my buddy Steven said, well, which one is the most comfortable? Oh, the Bose ones. Those were super comfortable. The QC35-2. Done. I bought those ones and it made it a lot easier. And so I think about for yourself is that instead of trying to find good enough, maybe just figure out, well, what's one thing you can make a decision on and just be happy with it. Before I share the last action item, make sure to check out the video we did on my YouTube channel with 1% Better, where I share a brief summary of the other 8 books that have had the biggest impact on my life. If you're into personal development or business, you're going to love this list. And finally, the last action item as promised. Focus on your own choices. Comparisons can be your enemy. Don't be a slave to always wanting more. It never ends and you're never fulfilled. One of the things I read and I really liked in the same vein around this is knowing when you have enough. And that's something, especially with money, is that you see someone with a car or you see someone get something, see something on Instagram, whatever it is, and you're like, oh, I want that. And I think one of the things that's most powerful, all of ourselves, is knowing when we have enough and being satisfied with it.